AI is basically going to control how we perceive reality by taking control of online content in its entirety. And that us becoming increasingly dependent on AI for everything is going to cognitively diminish people so that we won't be able to perceive reality or make sense of anything without AI doing it for us.
Join investigative journalist Whitney Webb as she unveils the deceptive tactics of mainstream media and the looming specter of AI-driven information control. In this conversation, Webb exposes the deliberate distractions and distortions bolstered by the media, highlighting the hidden forces shaping our perception of reality. She navigates the murky waters of this manipulation and paints a sobering picture of a future with AI. Issues with AI are on the horizon as it stands to not only curate, but generate the bulk of online content, raising profound questions about privacy, autonomy, and the nature of truth in a digital age. Prepare to challenge the narrative and explore the untold stories beneath the surface of the mainstream agenda.
Because I think at this point we all know that mainstream media sucks. So there's definitely a need to try and find the stories that aren't being covered, because there's, a lot of stuff, I think even too intentionally, some of the tactics of mainstream media and the people that control them is to put out a story that's intentionally annoying and outrageous so that everyone focuses on that and doesn't focus on other stuff in the news cycle, and other important stuff that is happening, slips through the cracks. Yeah, because they're trying to put AI in charge of the internet, not just in charge of censoring what's on the internet, but also having AI make the lion's share of online content. So supposedly by 2025, generative AI like ChatGPT is going to produce 96 or something % of everything you read online, which means their mainstream media journalists are going to be completely replaced by. I think there have been some magazines that have been caught using ChatGPT to write their stories already. I think Sports Illustrated was one. Only going to get crazier. And so when you have AI both producing and then curating, i.e. censoring, everything, then AI dominates the information environment, and whoever programs AI and stipulates what information is okay and who isn't has unprecedented control. And when you consider that most people today get their information from online or, digital sources, that's unprecedented control of what people, not just how the information that people read and receive, but also, you're manipulating how people perceive reality. And that obviously translates into how people behave. And actually, Henry Kissinger, who I'm sure died recently, and the guy that he named as his heir, which is Eric Schmidt, the former Google CEO, wrote a book on AI explicitly about and how AI is basically going to control how we perceive reality by taking control of online content in its entirety. And that us becoming increasingly dependent on AI for everything is going to cognitively diminish people so that we won't be able to perceive reality or make sense of anything without AI doing it for us. So you literally handed the worst part of the state the worst tool possible, but you're a libertarian and you're against state overreach. And so similarly, Elon Musk you have to look at the actions of Musk and then what he says. And not enough people do that, whether it's for Musk or really anyone. You have to look at people's actions, not just what they say, because someone can say all the right things and then, be totally f***ing you behind your back. And if you're just going to take what they're telling you and the excuses and whatever, you'll never figure out what's actually going on. And I think that's fair for Elon Musk as well. Did he buy Twitter to save free speech, or did he buy Twitter to have a massive data to train AI on and to train all other sorts of products he has on? Or did he make it, like he's openly admitted, did he buy it so he can turn Twitter, now X, into X the everything app that doesn't just become, isn't just social media. It becomes half of the financial system and becomes American WeChat. Which, of course, WeChat in China, people are naive here, I think, because, Elon Musk is the richest man in the world, but is he the richest man in the world just because of his own entrepreneurial whatever? Or is it because his companies were held up by government subsidies that allowed him to become rich, and he's the richest man in the world because he worked with the state? His company, SpaceX, is currently a contractor to both the military and intelligence communities. Its success is contingent on those contracts, SpaceX. And his entire trajectory up to this point has been contingent on government subsidies or things of that nature. That's a problem. Why do people, for some reason, see him as this Tony Stark Iron Man kind of guy? Well, the Iron Man movies were funded largely, or they had a significant, I forget the exact amount, but a very large contract with the US military. While Elon Musk has companies that are also affiliated at the time with the US military. And Robert Downey Jr. decides to model Tony Stark and Iron Man and whatever after Elon Musk. And Elon Musk makes an appearance in the movie. And then people years ago start affiliating Elon Musk with this brilliant scientist who's going to save us all. In terms of the behavior of like a ruling elite, it's very similar to what it was in the feudal era, like in the Dark Ages, which again, how did the Dark Ages succeed so successfully in that? Extreme control of information. It was all in the church, right? But them. So it was again, centralized control of information and also of money. And we're going to that same paradigm again, but for the modern era. So all this technology is going to try and set up those systems for us.
Today's video is sponsored by Stampseed. Don't store your Bitcoin in cold storage without stamping your seed phrase on an indestructible titanium plate. Stampseed is fireproof, rust-proof, impact-proof, and easy to hide. It has no loose parts and will give you ultimate peace of mind that your Bitcoin is safe and sound for the long term. Click the link in the description below for 15% off your stamping kit. Welcome to Bit Intelligence. We are committed to bringing you top-notch Bitcoin-only content, twice weekly. Doing this is quite a lot of work. If you are enjoying it and you'd like to support us in making more of these videos, subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon. If you are willing to go a step further, consider contributing to our Lightning wallet on Geyser to help us get the funding we need to keep bringing you these videos. You can also join our channel here on YouTube for as low as $2.99 per month. Okay, back to the video.
In the next couple of years, without a doubt, there's going to be these events, whether it's like COVID or 9/11 or whatever, they're not going to be the same as those, but they're going to be these big events that generate a lot of fear and panic, and mainstream media is going to be traumatizing people with it, and then are going to sell a particular solution. And when it comes for the internet or the financial system, they're going to make the enemy privacy. They're going to make the enemy privacy 100%. And the solution is going to be digital IDs and programmable surveillable money. It doesn't have to be CBDCs, by the way. I mean, CBDCs, I think most people know, are going to be that, but it doesn't. It's not just CBDCs. There is a goal, there is a push from the banks themselves, some of the most powerful banks in the world, to have, at least in some countries, a different system that's not a CBDC, because with a CBDC, they can't do fractional reserve banking, but then the bank controls all the reserves, and maybe they'll bank some of their reserves at the Fed or whatever, but they can still do fractional reserve banking and credit creation and all of this stuff, and not actually have to keep a one-to-one peg of reserves like CBDCs or like a fiat peg stablecoin. But it's definitely happening in the US. And I would argue that's one of the reasons that you have the Federal Reserve, which is again owned by Wall Street banks in the US, being like, we're not going to do a direct issued CBDC. And freedom advocates in the US are like, yeah, the Fed's on our side because of that. No, it's not. The Fed is 100% always on the side of Wall Street banks, and Wall Street banks only don't want a CBDC because they don't want to give the Federal Reserve their power. They want to keep their power, and they want to keep doing fractional reserve banking. Well, I definitely think Bitcoin has the potential to be a tool for financial freedom, but I think there's major efforts well underway to co-opt that to serve the same agenda, right? And so I think people in the Bitcoin space that want it to be a tool for financial freedom need to get wise to those efforts to co-opt and resist, because it's either a tool of financial freedom or it's not. You know what I mean? And so if you cede enough territory and let them like completely dollarize Bitcoin and turn it into like a tool of US empire to keep the dollar afloat and keep dollar hegemony going forever and ever and ever, are saying it's a flaw in Bitcoin that you can't put dollars easily on Bitcoin and all of this. I mean, no, the whole point supposedly, right, of creating Bitcoin was to give Wall Street banks the middle finger and create something that had immutable sound monetary policy. So if you allow them to co-opt it so it's not those things anymore, what are you left with? Is it a tool of financial freedom, or is it just has it the promise of Bitcoin been hollowed out and replaced with Wall Street garbage? There's all sorts of things that are happening in Bitcoin right now that could be under that umbrella. But when you start to have people like BlackRock being like, you know what, we actually like Bitcoin now, that's a sign to pay attention. So I think people need to, in the Bitcoin space, need to be very aware that there is a fight being had right now about the future of Bitcoin. And you have to decide which side you're on. Are you going to fight for Bitcoin to be a tool of financial freedom, or are you going to allow it to be co-opted by the powers that be that it was supposedly designed to resist them and, be something they can't control? Are you going to give them control of it? I mean, the answer should be no to any Bitcoiner worth respecting.
As we conclude our conversation with Whitney Webb, it's clear that the challenges posed by media manipulation and AI-driven content are more pressing than ever. Webb's insights shed light on the hidden agendas shaping our news consumption and challenge us to think critically about the sources of our information.